All right. Can you start by just saying your name and spelling it for me?
I'm Ralph Terry, Ralph. T as in Tom, Erry.
Okay, Mr. Terry, and you are the brother, am I correct?
I'm the uncle of Brian T.
Uncle. Okay, sorry, my bad. Uncle. Okay, all right. So let's start off this way. Just give me your reaction to this whole thing being overturned.
Well, we were shocked. We had no idea this was in the works. We were not given any heads up by the Department of Justice. It was just all, there it is, and there it was. So we thought we had that chapter of this saga behind us, but now here it is again.
They said nothing to you?
Nothing. We got no pre-notification whatsoever.
So how did you guys find out?
On the internet, just like the rest of the public.
That seems odd. I'm sorry, I'm not, seriously, it seems odd that they wouldn't tell you, the family.
You certainly,
Um,
you certainly would think they would have said, "Hey, this is in the works." And when it happened, they could have said, "Hey, it's been overturned," and tell us a little bit about what they might do in the future. But we knew about as much as you knew about it.
so do you know what their plans are?
We do not. We would hope he's retried, reconvicted of first degree murder, and remains in jail where he belongs. He's claimed his Fifth Amendment and Sixth Amendment rights, self-incrimination, and he said he didn't understand what was going on. And from my point of view, it was like he clearly understood what that weapon would do. He clearly understand what he'd put bullets in that magazine, and then put that magazine in that weapon, what that weapon would do. When he pointed it at my nephew, Brian Terry, and pulled that trigger, he clearly understood what was going to happen.
Were you at the trial? I mean, oh, you froze.
His two sisters, I believe, were at that trial. The sisters and the mom, and sometimes his brother Kent goes. It's very painful for them to go through those things. But the one thing that the girls, Kelly and divert.
Do me a favor. Can you repeat that because you froze? You said the one thing, the girls, Kelly, go ahead.
They tell me that none of the convicts, when the girls have gone to trials to watch, none of the convicts have ever looked them in the eye. They've always just averted their look.
Um, I can imagine how you guys must be feeling right now, but I do want to say, I mean, how frustrated are you right now? Because it just seems like you just still see, you thought this was settled, done, and now you have to almost start this whole process all over again.
Well, in one respect, yes. In another respect, no. Um, I don't think we'll ever get full closure. If we go back 14 years when all this happened, I mean, the southern border was porous. I mean, the cartel rip-off crews just came and went when they wanted to, and that's why Brian was out there. And then it became a real political football when in 2016 it was brought to the public's attention, hey, we got a problem down there. We've got thousands and thousands of people coming across the border whenever they want. And the Border Patrol is being overwhelmed. And then our current administration exacerbated the problem by opening the border even further, particularly in the South. The Border Patrol agents are overworked and overwhelmed and undermanned. You can't keep up with that many people. So we hope that, Brian and Brian's death can bring more focus to the situation at our southern border, as painful as it is. The family, I mean, some of the families have will never get over it. They will always be angry. They just can't forgive. Others of the family have accepted it. Others are further along. It's a process. And it's not an easy process. And everybody moves at their own pace. And there's still a lot of pain, but the Brian Terry Foundation does a lot of good things. And particularly Michelle and Kelly are real active in pushing those things forward. We have a scholarship that we give out multiple scholarships a year. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Brian Terry Foundation is that, we get dozens of applications every year. And we award 3 or 4 or 5, however much money we have, we give away basically. And the neat thing is to be able to read those applications. I mean, these kids, 18, 19 years old. So when Brian was killed, they were 4, maybe 5. And that's kind of what the foundation is. But one of the things we want to do is keep Brian's name alive. But these stories you read, kids that have found the Brian Terry Foundation online looking for scholarships, and they say, that's the kind of guy I want to be when I grow up. That's the kind of officer I want to be when I grow up. I mean, they look at him and I mean, he's a big guy and he's extremely fit. And these kids come from Alaska, Florida, Vermont, New Hampshire, Arizona. I mean, I don't know that we've got all 50 states covered yet, but we cover east to west and north to south pretty easily. Alaska, I think, is the furthest north we go. And I don't think we have a Hawaii yet, but we do have Florida several times.
So that foundation is assisting families of fallen agents. What do you think Brian would think of this?
Oh, well, he would wholeheartedly endorse it because when Brian was killed, um, I lived in Texas and I was in Michigan for Brian's funeral. I was with Josephine's mom one afternoon, and 2 or 3 people came in, knocked at the door, and they had a check in their hand, and they gave it to Josie, and they said, "We want you to have this." And she goes, "What's this for?" She goes, "In the next few days, there are things going to be coming up, and you just might have the cash available." You know, Brian was a bachelor, so he didn't leave behind a wife and little kids like most of the agents do. And so, I mean, many of the agents, they're just common ordinary folks. And, raising a family is pretty expensive today. So when we give them a check, I mean, there's smiles on their face, no question about that. Because it just takes the pressure of right now and takes the financial pressure off of the family. And Brian would be happy about that.
What do you think he would think about the border right now and what his fellow agents are going through?
Uh, he would be saddened. The border was porous back when he was murdered. It's more porous today. It's been a political football in the past. And all Brian wanted to do is, I mean, his whole life, he was a Marine. He defended our country as a Marine. He was a police officer in 2 organizations in the Detroit area. And then he became a Border Patrol agent. He would be saddened with what's going on today. If you take it for an example, 2 or 3 years ago, when they had a mass immigration come across and the Border Patrol put their mounted Border Patrol agents out. And what did they do? They got all kind of criticism because somebody took a picture or a video that looked like perhaps they were taking the rein and hitting a person rather than the horse, which they actually were hitting. So it's that kind of thing that would really frustrate Brian, no question about that.
Um, it sounds like you're saying it's time to put the politics aside on both parties and just fix the problem.
Yes, absolutely. And the Terry family would more than welcome to sit down with either side, both sides, all 4 sides, and help them understand from a very personal viewpoint what it's like to lose somebody at the border because someone forgot to check a box somewhere. You know, very,
Uh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
very frustrating. We don't look, unfortunately, it is political. Years ago, I heard it said that if Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer had kids down in the Border Patrol guarding the border, we'd have a wall already. And I believe that was probably a true statement because the parties in the past have both said, let's build a wall. And then it becomes this political football, and we see where that gets us. 11 million people coming across the border, Border Patrol agents outgunned, outmanned, outmaneuvered, outnumbered. Just, it's terrible.
Tell me about Ryan. What do you want people to know about him? What kind of guy was
He was a man's man, no question. When he was, I don't know, 37, 38, when he became a Border Patrol agent, um, his supervisor said, you know, you ought to think about VORTAC. I mean, you're a former Marine, you know how to do all that stuff. And Brian said, boy, that might be pretty cool. And so his supervisor contacted the VORTAC folks, said, I got this guy I want you to look at. And he said, he's 38 years old. Come on. And he says, take a look at him, you know. Well, Brian shows up, you know, 30-inch waist, 48-inch chest, runs 10 miles a day, you know, handsome dude. You know, long story short, you know, he graduated top of his class in the VORTAC class, or close to the top. I don't know where the numbers are, but you know if they keep numbers. But I mean, he made it, and he was proud to be it, and he loved doing it, and died doing what he loved.
the person who was once convicted of killing him? What do you think of this individual?
I pray that somehow he finds a peace within himself that acknowledges what he did that's wrong, and chooses to turn his life around and become an individual that can be positive in whatever role he's in. I mean, if he's going to be in prison, I mean, you can be a positive force in prison. I participated in a program called Kairos, where we go into prisons and we minister to those folks. And I would love to see him go through a Kairos program and turn his life around, because that's what we're all about.
Is there anything you want to add that I missed?
If you want to know more about Brian, go to the honorbrianterry.com website. There's pictures, you'll see his smiling face. There's events, current and future events that are going on. There's the scholarship application. It's closed for this year. I think I froze again on you. But the yeah, that would be a good place for people to start. Yeah,
Okay. Uh,
honorbrian.com.
all right, sir. Again, I want to thank you for giving us some of your time. I can tell you when I asked you about the man accused of or once convicted of killing him, I did not expect you to take the high road. That's very honorable of what you did. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Oh, Ralph and Mr. Baldwin, just a quick question. I'm
Yes,
assuming that and Ralph, if are you still froze?
I'm still
I think
frozen.
he is. Yes, he is, sir.
I don't know
Well,
what.
if you could hear me,
Yeah.
uh, just want to make sure that the photographs that are on the website can be used in any news story if this TV station wants to lift those photographs.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, that's what I will do. I will go to the website and grab those, and I see one here of him. I believe it's him. So okay. All right. Anything else, sir? Anything you want to add that I didn't ask you?
Thank you. You've been very kind and generous. We appreciate your support, and
Mhm.
public see Brian for what Brian really was.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hold on. Was that his dad?
No, it was his uncle.
Okay, that was his uncle.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have to use it at 6 because the 6 absolutely needs 100% right now, something to tease for 6. So I have nothing else besides that, so.
Okay. And then you do that, or you can do the, we didn't get the stuff until Monday, right?
I have it, yeah, but I don't know if I didn't know if we wanted to throw that in the 6.
Um, well, why don't we ask Ralph which one he wants? I mean, I think this is probably the easiest thing to put in 6, but ask him which one he wants. And then we gotta go from there.
Well, he was talking about maybe having an anchor.
Oh, he was?
Well, we just don't have any.
It'd be Sean. He's already doing every show.
Yeah.
So, that'd be the problem. I mean, Sean's already in a pissy mood. All right, well, we can decide. Why don't you close this out so we can get this going?
Those votes are going.
Not yet. I called one people and they told me I had to call somebody else.
It's all good.
Give me a second. Hang on a second.